Hello and welcome to our program where each week we'll bring you a series of interviews with people educating and inspiring in the hot topics of health, wellbeing and lifestyle. For our first guest today we have Trudy Pavlovsky, the Queen of Shadow Values, who will be talking to us today about embracing our shadow values. Welcome Trudy.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be here today, Linda.
What are shadow values for our viewers out there?
Viewers might be able to identify general normal values. So the traditional values of trust and love and respect, those nice values that you're totally happy to share with the world because they feel good. I work with the values on the flip side, which are the shadow values. So these are values that growing up, something's happened, we've been taught to be ashamed of wanting this value, and I illuminate those values. We bring them into the light because when you harness the power of the shadow values, what happens, you use these values to motivate you with your goals, and your life just can take off in ways that never before thought possible. So there's 10, and today obviously we don't have time to go through 10 of them. So I really wanted to share 2 of them today. So I wanted to talk about attention and validation, because when I work with people with these values and they embody it and they get it, their life really does start to transform. So I'll talk to you about attention first, because here we are on TV, like center of attention. So we've embodied this value, right? We feel good about getting attention. But I want to ask the viewers, how many of you out there secretly crave attention, to be seen, to be recognized, but you don't take the action to go out and do it? Especially if you're in business or you're wanting to change your life somehow, get a promotion, receiving attention when it feels good allows you to get what you really want. And then with validation, this is a really interesting one, because quite often when we're growing up and we're like little kids, we're always looking for approval from a parent or a teacher or an older sibling. But if we don't get that approval, we feel bad, and then we start looking for it further and further afield, and we lose trust in our own ability to make decisions for ourselves and to be okay going after what we want. So when we learn to invalidate ourselves internally and stop asking 20 people around us if what we want to do is okay, we just feel better. We start taking action from a place that's so much more inspired. And if we're in business or if we're looking to create something in our life, we get the momentum because we're not constantly having to check in with somebody else.
Trudy, we were talking off camera about imposter syndrome. So could you explain to our viewers something a bit more about imposter syndrome and what it is for them?
Imposter syndrome, which is a person's inability to believe in their own results, no matter how much they've studied, how much effort they've put in, no matter how many times people say good job. That ties in so closely with shadow values and downplayed their results. Chances are, if you're doing that and saying that to yourself, you've got imposter syndrome. And so what happens when you start embodying your shadow values, that little imposter syndrome voice, it just gets quieter and quieter and quieter in your mind, because your shadow values, when you can be comfortable with attention, can validate yourself, and some of the other ones, take control of your own life, honor your own ambitions, own your own superiority, be comfortable receiving money. When you build up all of those, the imposter syndrome stops, because you get comfortable being recognized for who you are. Because it goes back to our beliefs around what we have around who we are, how we show up, what we want to create in the life, and what we think is possible. And beliefs form in childhood, and they're based purely on our experiences, so they're very unique for everyone. And when you can look at your beliefs and see how they've formed patterns growing up and how they shape your life, then you can see these are my values, and they all tie together in a nice little bow. But if you want to start transforming these things, it's like, have a look at where you're putting the brakes on in your life, where you're saying, I can't possibly do that, or I can't receive that, or I'm not worthy. Because when you look at those patterns and those thoughts that you have in your head, that's when you can start creating the change. And it's not something that happens overnight. It's something that you chip away at every day. And you would start with the value of attention. And it's like, where do I not feel comfortable receiving attention? And one of the ladies I worked with, she didn't feel comfortable going out in a pretty dress and wearing lipstick. So she decided one day, because she'd received negative attention in the past, she decided that she was better than the past, and she wanted to reinvent the story that she was telling herself. So she got up one morning, she put on the nice dress, did her lipstick, did up her hair, and she walked down the street. And she'd made the decision when she was walking down the street to hold herself high, to smile at people, and be comfortable in that moment.
So with that education that you've received in your own life about imposter syndrome, about shadow values and how all of these things play out for you, what really inspired you to look further into your own life and how that existed there?
Yeah. I didn't have exactly a happy life, and there were times when I didn't want to be here anymore. And I got to a point in my life where I really had to make the decision, how do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? How do I want to be seen in this world? And what kind of legacy do I want to leave? And that took me on a journey of learning about life coaching, neurolinguistic programming, energy work. I've got so many qualifications, it's ridiculous. But it started with that decision to go, I want more. I deserve more. I'm worthy of more. I gave myself permission to be the person that I always knew I was here to be. In spite of the pain and the trauma and the disappointments, I decided to look beyond that and go, I'm here for so much more. And embracing all of those values, and it just changed everything. And so that's why I'm here to share that work.
And also, as a last takeaway for the audience, what would you say to them as a suggestion for them to take away from today?
One of the biggest lessons I learnt in life was that permission, it all starts with you. Now, I could have decided to stay miserable, but I decided I wanted more. So I gave myself permission, and then I looked at the decisions that I was making, and I decided to make different decisions. And from those decisions came smart choices. So for me, it's permission, decisions, choices.
Thank you, Trudy. And for more information about embracing your shadow values, please go to our website. Welcome back. And next we have Dr. Zara Chelik, our integrative health and wellness expert. And she's back with us today to talk about mindfulness. So Dr. Zara, mindfulness is a huge topic.
Huge one at the moment globally, right? It's like a trending word, like, so we had the self-care, which I talked about, and now mindful is another one, buzzing one, which I love to touch on to them, bring some, put my input into it. And we all have different perceptions and different reflective awareness about mindfulness. So I love to educate our audience and give my perspective on that. So it's overly used, as we all know, but not many people actually know what it exactly means. In fact, I was just talking to one of the young university students, and she knew I was doing a podcast with somebody else, and then she asked me how it went, and it somehow led to this mindfulness. So I was so intrigued to find out really her perspective and what it meant for her in terms of being mindful. And I sort of got to understand and see what universities were teaching and where the students were at. So I thought, you know what, it'll be great to sort of bring a bit of light onto this topic. So mindfulness is when the mind is completely balanced. If you think of like an algebra maths equation going back to our, early high school, sort of late primary school years, where this one side of the equation equals to the other side of the equation. And that's exactly is what mindfulness is in the mind. So we have two minds. That we have the immanent mind, and then we have the transcendent mind. Immanent mind is the amygdala. Transcendent mind is the prefrontal cortex. So it's a little bit of neuroscience there. That's okay, but I'm going to explain it more. So when we are in amygdala, we are in fight, flight, freeze. So when we are self-judging, self-critical, or judging other people, or we are living in, the trauma, or we have a lot of neuroassociation pattern, we relate to things our past or event took place, we stay at the immanent mind. And we are going to be at fight, flight, freeze. So then that makes the mind unbalanced because we are spending a lot of time in the amygdala, which is the immanent mind. But I like people to be also aware of and become objective and authentic by becoming aware of the transcendent mind, which is the prefrontal cortex, which is the executive center of the brain. At that brain, when we are at prefrontal cortex, when we are objective, we become authentic, we become creative. So when we are critical or we have body dysmorphic things, which we talked about as well previously, we spend more time focusing on what is not right, rather than seeing objectively what it is there for us, and it is happening for us, not to us. When we become aware of the other side of the equation, we go into that transcendent mind. We become objective. We have reflective awareness. So we are not self-critical. We are seeing things as they are. We're not resenting others. We are not infatuated with other people. We're not admiring them and putting them up here, because we're becoming reflective and we're aware of the things that we see in them is also in us. So that will make us more objective and we have the reflective awareness. I hope I'm not confusing here. I know I'm talking neuroscience, I've got a lot of things going on, but I'm going to explain it more.
So is this with things like, we talked earlier about overthinking, how that can take over?
Correct. So even overthinking, when we're overthinking, overjudging, criticizing, I'm not good enough, I'm not fit enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not rich enough, I don't have the education, the whole, trying to, having the fear, the mind becomes imbalanced. So you're not mindful, you're half mindful, because you're focusing on one side of things and you're not seeing the other things, or you're focusing on one side of of you, and you're not aware of the other side of you. You're with me there. So that creates the imbalance. Or when we're resenting people, we see all the bad things that they did and how it disadvantaged us, right? But we don't get to see how that person also served us. The minute we see the other side of how that person served us, in the case of resentment, that makes us mindful. In the case of infatuation, when you're admiring somebody, for example, oh, they're so beautiful, they're so fit, they're gorgeous, we have this fantasy, right? That makes us one-sided, so that's half mindful. But the minute we also see it in our form, hey, I've also been fit, I'm also fit in this form, I'm intelligent also, or I'm also wealthy, and I've actually displayed and demonstrated in these sort of situations, and I see it as in me, it's part of me, that makes you again mindful. So the equation is balanced. And that's why I say think of it as a mathematical model, bit of like an algebra. This side of the equation equals this side of the equation. So when you are aware of only one side of events, you are half mindful. But when you're aware of both sides, you are mindful completely. And that's the thing that actually, when I talk to people, they meditate, try to be mindful, and it's overly used, right? We try to become mindful, and we're meditating and we investing in ourselves, and it's nice bit of cultural movement globally. People are trying to be mindful, have mindful eating, mindful thinking, mindful language. But if you're not mindful of what's happening within you, then you're not going to be fully mindful. You're half mindful.
So it's like that confusion then that takes over when the confusion we're not balanced in the mind.
Yeah, so when you're confused, you're not balanced in the mind. So when you're fully aware and you've got reflective awareness and you become objective, then you're authentic yourself. You see, whatever is in other people is actually in you. There's nothing missing, and there's that equity and balance and equanimity within you. Then you are fully mindful, and the biochemistry of the mind is balanced. Because the minute that you're actually critical, the biochemistry shifts. The biochemistry of the mind shifts. The biochemistry of the brain shifts. The biochemistry of the body shifts. But when we are mindful, there's a balance, and that balance within is called equanimity. That's what, homeostasis basically.
What would be your top hint for our viewers? Something they can take away today just for themselves to...
So become aware of the language that you're using and see if you are present with yourself. But if you're even struggling with that, see what your mind is doing. Are you focusing only one thing? Are you, for example, judging or criticizing yourself about maybe an event happened during the day? If you are, catch yourself, stop and pause, and see what it is actually there and find the opposite of it. So, for example, if you're resenting somebody, say, well, okay, what am I resenting them? What am I exactly resenting them for? And then see the benefit of that action, inaction, or the trait that you're resenting the individual for, and see how that is also serving you, the benefit of that to you. So then you balance that out. If it is an infatuation, you admire somebody, find it in your own form. Then once you find that, that's also balance. If you're judging somebody else, same thing applies. What are you exactly judging them for? How is it a disadvantage to you when you're judging them? Not just the advantage. So then you balance it there too. So try to find balance, but become aware of your language pattern and the language and the words that you use, and see if you can get on to asking yourself the questions to balance the mind.
Well, thank you very much for that. And for more information on Dr. Zara Celik and mindfulness, then please go to her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au. And now for break. We'll see you after the break. Hi, for our next segment we have Kim Townsend back. She's here today to talk to us about play. Kim, why play?
Well, last time I was here was so much fun, I thought I'd come back and have some more fun. For me, one of my favourite quotes by George Bernard Shaw is that we do not stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. So you think about kids, what do? They're all about play. And for them, play is curiosity, it's learning, it's discovery, it's figuring out their skills, their abilities, and also how they socialise. And somewhere as we grow up, we're told, grow up. And it's like to be grown up comes with seriousness. And what is that about? And I know that just when you're learning, if something is fun, it's that much easier to learn. And just being playful adds that spice to life.
And we forget to play, don't we?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And it's different. Play is different to a game. A game has rules, and there's usually an outcome, a winner or a loser. Play is just having fun for the sake of playing. It then, it also, chemically in the body, it helps you stay younger. It makes you smile. It makes you laugh. And it's just simple things. I mean, you see on the movies when two lovers are on the beach, they're running around, they're playing like kids. And adults love to play with kids. It's the practical jokes. Just bringing that stuff into your life every day. It's having that youthful attitude and approach to life, and it just makes things so much nicer.
And I guess it's that communication with yourself as well, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's communicating with yourself and being okay to be free and creative, and it just helps with connection. If everything's always serious and deep, it's like it's so heavy. But lighten it up, and just have fun.
Yeah, totally. It's so important, isn't it? And I know for much of my life, I didn't have that sense of, lost that sense of play. So what things would you say, you know, people could play at?
Absolutely anything. So if you're at work and it's one of those tedious, repetitive jobs that you just go, oh, I'm doing this again. It's like, okay, how can I make a game out of it? How can I make it playful? Or even just going to the supermarket, instead of just pushing your trolley along, but even if people are watching, just, lift yourself up on the handlebar and have a bit of a ride. Or I know with my kids, when I've gone shopping with them, they might have the shopping list and I'd be getting stuff. If it's a loaf of bread or something that's not going to break, throw it into the shopping trolley and just have a bit of fun. Life does not have to be serious.
That's so true.
Yeah.
We do forget, don't we? We can get caught up in that internal stuff that goes on and not breathing, as you mentioned last time you were here, and then it's lost.
Yeah. And even if something is serious, people can just get heavy and the energy just becomes really, really dull. But if you put a little bit of fun into it, it can actually lift the energy, and even having playfulness within seriousness is really important.
Oh, gee, it's all so relevant. It's just wonderful. Thank you very much for sharing that. And for more information on play and Kim, once again, please go to our website. And for now, we'll say bye-bye till next week from us all here at Health, Wellbeing and Lifestyle. See you next time.